Welcome to episode 116 of Broad Street Hustle. We have our special golf edition tonight for you. It is the 152nd Open Championship at Royal Troon. And of course, when we talk golf, we have our normal golf crew with special guests. So let me go around the horn real quick. I got Jason Sayeda.
Hey, Tom.
Jason, how are you? I got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's going on?
And we got our special guest, Kevin Krieger. Kevin, how are you?
Good day, sir.
Kev, I'm gonna jump over to you first before we get into it because you're fresh off a Pinehurst trip, I believe. Last time you were on, we said you were going, and you went. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
I survived. Yeah, I mean, I know we had a heat wave going on here, but the heat hits a little different down in North Carolina. I mean, again, third year in a row. It's for anybody out there that wants to go to the Mecca of golf. You can't go wrong with the golf courses around there. Again, kind of the same lineup at the back of Road to Pine Needles. Got on to Pinehurst number 4. Didn't see number 2. Looks like a beast, but yeah, another great trip. Ended up only walking 2 or 4 rounds, which was probably stupid. Now that I think of it, but yeah, hopefully next time we're talking, Scotland is the ultimate bucket list. I know we're gonna get into it with Troon, but yeah.
Yeah, for you folks, Kev is one of those golfers that when you only have 3 guys, and they say, "Oh, we're pairing you. We got a single golfer. We're gonna pair you," and he shows up with his bag on his back, no cart. That's Kevin.
I gotta push.
Yeah, this guy's gonna walk the course.
So you walk all the court? Like when you play, you walk all the time?
Whatever I can, I do. Yeah.
No kidding.
Did 36 the Thursday they were there. I think I was hallucinating. I saw llamas on the golf course. I think I sent Tom a picture, and then I realized there actually were llamas on the golf course. But
wow,
it was heat trip. But it's the true test. I mean, if you go to Great Britain, I mean, golf carts are an American invention. You go out, across the pond, they'd scoff at you for riding a cart. So I'm kind of a purist in that regard. But
I was playing FDR.
They also taxed us, and you saw what happened.
I was going to say, listen,
what happened, right? So
we didn't get rid of the king so we can walk the course like the rest of our lives. So
Now I wouldn't do this for you, Kev, but I was playing at FDR once, and I once left somebody on the hole that was walking. We drove away.
I feel like they play faster though too walking. Like they play 3.5 rounds and 3.5 hour rounds in Scotland, and 4.5 is like good for us. But we also imbibe a little. I think over here.
Jason and I played a couple weeks ago with his brother-in-law, and there was a foursome behind us where 2 of the guys were walking, and they were right on pace with us because the pace ahead of us was so slow. We were a threesome and, not playing well, but it was just the course got so backed up that the walkers were catching up to us, like on the holes behind us. So,
yeah.
if I was offered to play free golf, but the one stipulation is I have to walk, I would not. I would just talk about golf on a podcast.
Do you use a cart? Do you use a cart, Kev, or do you carry your bag? Do you have a push?
Now I have a push cart. So I walk, high school and then COVID, leading up to my Bandon Dunes trip. Yeah, push cart mafia. All days was.
Yeah.
And did Kev's video freeze on everybody else?
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, I got an alert that there's a recording issue. So it's a good shot though.
It's one of those we've had frozen people, but
I've had worse frozen shots for sure.
all right, let's jump into it. So like you said, we're playing at Royal Troon, the 150th Open. When did it become the Open? I forget, because all my life it was the British Open.
I call it the British Open.
Yeah, I know.
I think the Open has always been the name, but the British don't call it the British Open, so they just call it the Open. And yeah,
it was the British Open my whole as far as.
Well, in the States we always called it the British Open. Now they actually adopt, I guess, the official name, but.
The U.S. Open, the Scottish Open, the Italian Open, the French Open. I mean,
Italian Open, Australian Open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as we always do when we talk open, when we talk our golf majors and specifically the open, we always will go to we'll always go to Jason, and then Kev usually has a lot of insight here, and Chunky as well. But Jason, you want to give a little history on Royal Troon and the some of the profiles of the course and the holes, etc.
Yeah, so it's Royal Troon. We last had a British Open there in 2016. Henrik Stenson won that, with Mickelson second. And cast the characters coming in behind those two guys, most notably who are going to be playing in this tournament, Sergio Garcia, McIlroy, and Hatton.
That was the one where Phil unexpectedly made right was good.
Yeah, Phil was second. Yeah, he was battling. Yeah, they were battling.
What's crazy about that tournament is Stenson won 20 under, which is a major record. Phil finished 19 under. Third, JB Holmes was 14 back.
Yep. So those guys were head and shoulders. Yep. So it's 7,385 yards. It's a par 71. I mean, depending on the wind, it probably wasn't windy that during that tournament, and that's probably why they got the 20 under, those two guys. So, there's small greens, but the wind is the defense of that court.
Do we have a forecast for the 4
I mean,
days?
when I looked, every day looked the same. It was like rainy with 15 mile per hour winds. You know what I mean? Every day. So, but it changes a lot. So we'll see. I mean, the way I looked at it was it's an iron play course. It's a lot of ball striking. The greens are small, but you better hit them. So guys who are going to hit their irons well and have, I did approach, strokes gained approach, as my main research. It has the shortest hole and the longest hole in championship golf. The postage stamp is the 8th hole. And it could play from anywhere from like 99 yards to 123 yards. It's called the postage stamp because the green is so small. But then I guess 2 holes before that, the 6th hole is a par 5, 623 yards. So that is the longest hole in championship golf. The course is now 195 yards longer than it was in 2016, and most of the yardage was added on the back 9. The front 9 starts very easily. I guess the wind is with you on the front 9, but then the back 9, like I said, added yards, and you're battling the wind. So they basically say like the first 6 holes are really easy, so you're going to be able to score in those first 6 holes. The middle 6 holes get a little tougher, and then the final 6 is like you're holding on for dear life in those final 6 holes. So, just a couple of holes I'll mention. The first hole is, like I said, it's a pretty easy par 4. You really can't bogey that hole. There's going to be some birdies in that hole. The second hole, you're going to need an accurate approach shot. 5th hole is a par 3, and wind is a factor in that hole. I mentioned the 6th and 8th holes, so then we'll jump to the back 9. The 11th hole is a 498-yard par 4, and it's ranked as their number 1 handicap hole. So that is the toughest hole in the course. And then the last 2 holes, the 17th hole is a long and tough par 3, and then the 18th hole, if you hit those greenside bunkers, you're going to be in big trouble getting up and down from there. So we'll see. Like I said, depending on the wind, I'm expecting a winning score to be between 15 and 20 under, depending on the wind. So.
Yeah, Kev, anything to add? Offer what Jason went through some holes.
Yeah,
profile.
Of course, it kind of broke it down to a T. I mean, it's one of those classic link style where front 9 you go out and then come back in, and with the prevailing winds, which come from the southwest, which this course being on the western coast of Scotland, the Ayrshire coast, I believe is how you pronounce it, which is the less renowned coast. I mean, most of the, St. Andrews and some of the more, famous Scottish courses are on the east side, the East Lothian coast of Scotland. But yes, really starting the postage stamp 8, which as Jason said, 99-yard hole up to 123, actually played harder than 17 at TPC Sawgrass, even though there's no water. But yeah, the 11th hole, the Railway, as it's known, is not only the toughest course at Troon, but in 2016 played to an average of 4.6 shots for, on a par 4, which actually made it the hardest hole on the PGA Tour that year. And that is the beginning of the back 9. It's, if you can, even par the back 9, you're probably looking pretty good, again, depending on wind conditions. But it's, I think, iron play, with smallish greens on this course and avoiding these bunkers. I mean, any British Open, there's some historic moments. I remember one of my earliest Open memories was Tiger, his first Open, I think in 96, I think before one of the Masters, he made a run on Saturday, shot a 64 to get in contention. And then Sunday came to the postage stamp and got a triple bogey, took 4 shots to get out of a pop bunker, and basically ended the tournament right there. So, that's the thing is, you could be cruising along, you get one of these pop bunkers, can end your round real quick. So, kind of exciting. And I'm hoping for a lot of wind. I'm hoping for some carnage. I don't know what the weather report we're going to get, but, it's Scotland. You never know.
Okay. And then Chalky, anything the boys missed from what you had down there?
No, they covered most of it. The postage stamp, I guess, is going to be, the signature hole for the most part. Jason mentioned the bunkers. If you land in that, you need like one of those rope ladders that they had to use on Omaha Beach to get out of there, because those are pretty steep. But I actually listened a little bit to last year's British Open episode that we did, and funnily enough, we was at Liverpool, and Jason went through a list of courses that played like Liverpool, and one of the first ones he mentioned was Royal Troon. So
yeah, I read that. I read it plays close to Royal to Liverpool as well.
Yeah, so if you like any of the guys that did well last year, then that could be favorable. And we compared last year the 17th at TPC to the 17th at Liverpool, so now we have another TPC like hole here. So just one interesting thing I saw on Twitter this week, I'll read off. And again, take these stats for what they are, but at Golf Ramble, if anybody follows that, I didn't, but it popped into my For You feed. The last 10 Open championships. What's that?
Have we vetted this Twitter?
No, these
About like three followers, right?
these are like Walt's trivia questions. They are not vetted ahead of being issued right out loud. All of the last 10 Open championship winners had a previous top 2 finish in a major, at least 3 top 10, 15 finishes in their last 5 starts, a top 40 ranking in the OWGR, although with LIV it doesn't mean as much anymore. A top 3 finish on the tour this year, and a prior top 20 in the Open if they have played. There are 7 golfers that meet that qualification. I'll save it for later, but that is the last 10 winners have all done.
I actually did see those numbers as well, in addition to others on it was like Sports Illustrated, like an actual website. So
it could have been stolen directly from there. I don't.
Yeah, the one thing with that is because we go through the Masters and Jason does his list of guys like you need to be in the top. Let's be honest, the guys. It's because the guys that win these major tournaments are they're the good golfers, right? They're top 20, they're top this, they're in the world, So yeah, you have to be part. So you usually don't see these crazy long shots winning these tournaments as much. A little
Harmon the Hammer last year.
Yeah. Oh no, that one was. I wonder if of all the tournaments, if this
Hamilton,
if this one does play to the longest odd, like have the whatever the average odd winner is. I wonder if the Open has the biggest. I would guess, right, but I don't know that.
I think so. You think back to guys who won, like even Lowry and I'm sure Stenson was big odds.
Yeah, right.
You know, Harmon was
Even Todd and Hamilton, who came out of nowhere, had won one PGA Tour event, and that was in 04 winning.
Yeah.
Who was the one guy? Clark was his name? Was it Darren Clark or something?
Darren Clark.
He was like, he had to be like 80 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darren Clark.
John Daly. I mean, that's a
Oh, well, but he was like on the downside when he won in 95 or 96 or whatever, right? I was going to say he ended up losing, but when Watson almost won, but I forget who came back to beat him was a long shot.
Stuart Sink.
Sink, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a programming note. This is the one that kind of has some weird times. What are we looking at for? Do you guys know?
I think
Like
it starts 4 in the morning on TV.
4, yeah.
That's on TV. I think local time there's guys teeing off at like 6:45 a.m.
So yeah,
Which would be
1:45.
about 1 o'clock.
I think it's 5 out. Yeah. So if you want to see if you want to see Justin Leonard tee off, be up by 1:45 in the morning. Otherwise, you can sleep in a little bit.
But yeah, so keep that in mind when, like, if you turn it on at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're probably watching a replay of the earlier rounds of the tournament. So
I always like that though. Like on Sunday, you can have your coffee, watch it, and then it's like over, and you can roll into baseball or whatever else for the rest of the day.
totally.
So I actually do enjoy that about this.
yeah, I just feel like during the week, I like the Thursday, Friday round.
Yes, that's tough. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's before we get started, just a quick word from our sponsor is Giovannina's Pizza. You've tried the rest, now try the best. Open its second location down the Jersey Shore, so please check it out. Thanks to our sponsor. All right, let's move on. So, we always kick it off with some logical players, kind of who do you think's going to win before we really get into some long shot. We've talked about a make the cut bet with we do have today. We did hit the last one. We'll talk about that when we give it out, kind of how that went down, because it's kind of funny. But yeah, Jason, you want to kick us off with where do you see this tournament kind of shaping?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring up names that you guys never hear me say as picks to win.
And I think, and I wish I had a quote from the last show, but
so my top pick, and I think I've texted, I don't know if I texted Kevin, but I texted you guys, is I really think Rory McIlroy, who I never
I swear last you said you would never.
I'd never pick him. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you could go back. What have we done? Like 8, 10, 12 golf shows, and I don't think I've ever picked him.
No.
I'm picking him to win this tournament. I really think he's going to win this Open tournament. I think, he's just been so consistent. He really should have won the U.S. Open. He didn't. He choked in the end, but he's just been so consistent. This is like home base for him, and he's really good at links courses. And I just think he's ready to win. I think he's finally gonna.
Doesn't he ever win at Liverpool too? Did he win at Liverpool?
I don't think so.
He did, but this is at Royal.
Was it
yeah.
No, but we're
I thought you meant True.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
We compare to
Yeah.
Liverpool.
2014, I think that was his last major win was the
Right.
Liverpool Open.
Yeah. So, so he's my top pick by far, but I'm going to give you guys 5 other guys who I've also bet to win. Not as much as I bet McIlroy, but another guy is I think Tyrrell Hatton is live in this tournament. I mean, he's been playing well. He's been playing well on the Live Tour. He played well in the U.S. Open. He's been right there. He's another good links golfer. He's from there. I think he's very live in this tournament.
Yeah,
Logical is going to be
just to clean this up too, Jason. Rory's about plus 850.
Yeah, he's up to 850. I actually bet him at 750, so I'm kind of pissed.
And
yeah,
Hatton is around 28 plus.
Well, so depending on where you look, the best odds you could get for Hatton are 28 to 1 on FanDuel, but on every other app he's 25 to 1.
Okay.
So, but I got 28 to 1 on him. Actually, I have 31 to 1 on him because I bet him a couple weeks ago because I like the way he's been playing. But I did bet again at 28 to 1. Morikawa, I think, is live. I mean, he's a good eye. I'm looking at guys that are good iron players, and like I said, I did strokes gained approach. He's right there. He's up there. He's a very good iron player. He's won an Open before. He's playing well. He's been choking on Sundays, but if he doesn't, he's right there to win. And I'm going to give you three guys now that one has not been playing well, but I think he's good value, and that's Rahm, right? Rahm is a good links player. Rahm has not played well. He did play pretty well at this last Live tournament. I don't know if you'll ever see Rahm at, I got Rahm. Where's Rahm? I have him at 25-1. I mean, John Rahm at 25-1 in a major is pretty good odds. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I'm saying it's good value, and I like betting value. And then two guys I never bet. And one is Cantlay. I think he's another good irons player. He has played well before in Opens. He played very well in the U.S. Open. He's another guy whose odds were pretty ridiculous, like 45-1 value there. And my final guy is a guy who I'm probably burning money on because he never wins.
Are you going to say Big Tone?
You know, I don't hate Tony Finau. I'm not going to make him. I'm probably going to bet him, but I'm not going to give him out on this show. But I don't hate him in this. But he's another guy that burns money. But another guy who burns money all the time and never wins.
Oh, I know.
But I think he's very live. Is Fleetwood. Like Fleetwood for some. He's 25-1. I mean, he's really 22-1 everywhere. I found him 25-1 on FanDuel. He's a links player. He's a very good iron player. He's going to win at some point. And this is the type of tournament I think he could win. And I think there's value on him. And I'm probably burning money. But I said the same thing about Schauffele. And I bet him in the Masters. And then he finally won a tournament. So I think Fleetwood is eventually going to win something. Maybe it's this one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you look, it's only 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 guys under 20-1 right now. So, it's a tournament where, you keep saying there's value on Rahm. Like, all these guys have good value. If you're against, these top guys, like, they all got value. I mean, 25-1 on Rahm, like you said. Koepka's at 30-1. Now, maybe the course don't play to his style, but you're still getting odds you're not going to see on guys in other tournaments. Sure. I mean, and good players play well regardless of their style and course. Now, maybe they don't win, but this is a tournament of value. I mean, for sure. Even Scheffler at plus 450 seems like terrible value for,
He does, but the thing I'll say is, like, terrible value, but who's a better irons player and approach player than Scheffler?
Yeah.
So if Scheffler was 10-1, I'd be betting him. But
and honestly, with the smaller greens too, like once you're on, you're not going to have
you don't need to be a great putter. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the thing too, is the only thing where being able to cut off the greens kind of takes that, shot, tee to green away. Cause you can putt 30, 40 yards off. Like even though the greens are small, you don't really need to hit them to be able to putt. Yeah.
It's a different kind of putt though, but it's not your traditional, green putt, but yeah. And that's hard. That's kind of hard. Do you contribute that to like a scrambler? Somebody could do that, or is that a whole different skill set?
Or
putt off.
Great Britain player, Euro player.
It's a links player who's exactly.
Yeah, links.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, Kev, what did where are you at with your logical guys here?
Jason was. Rory's got to be the pick for everybody's heart. After how close he's come. Pinehurst. That was an all-time. I don't know what you call it, choke or
I call it
a. It was a French shot. He didn't even want to impress her at the end, and he's been knocking on the door. Even a couple years ago, open to. He's been in the mix. Of the top, between like him and Scheffler, I think I like his odds at 850 versus 550 if I were to take the top two. I mean, I might sprinkle him, but the other two other guys like that are 20 to odds, 21 odds is shorter. Morikawa is one that I am very high on. I mean, not only, I mean, he's got one Open under his belt, I mean, different venue, but he's a multiple major winner. I mean, his finishes in the majors this year, T3 at the Masters, T4 at the PGA, T14 at the US Open. He's been in the mix, great form, great iron player. And, you know, I think that he's one of those guys that, you know, come Sunday, isn't going to shy away from the big spotlight.
You know,
Like,
a little, just to play devil's advocate on Morikawa, if you his last couple of tournaments, he's had like that hole where he kind of blew up a little bit, right? He had like a double, and this is a course where you're susceptible to letting a hole get away from you. So, I mean, if he had that, because really, he played pretty well, but he had a double bogey, I think, on whatever the PGA, and it kind of dropped him off of like the leaders, and then he never was able to catch back up.
I mean, that's under pressure. And I mean, that's why guys like Tommy Fleetwood's or, well, Schauffele until he won the PGA, or
Cantlay.
Yeah, I mean, Kenley hasn't even really been in the mix in majors as of late, but I feel like once you have that major win under your belt, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're golfers that even the best golfers in the world have bad shots. But it's having that pedigree, having that history, having that confidence. And I mean, he's definitely come back, you know, this year after kind of a 2-year lull in kind of losing his way. If he gets, I mean, for him, if he can just rely on that cut shot over and over, you know, if you see that thing just kind of dying, a little 5-10 yard cut, you know, you'll know Thursday, you know, back 9 if he's in or not. The other thing too, which I think, not to get lumped by the two picks, but that is more thing, you know, taking into consideration more than any other major, any other tournament, is the draw, especially with the weather. Because if you look at, I don't have the stats on hand, but if you have the early, late draw, depending on the weather, has a massive impact on the winner. And that's why a lot of guys, they, you know, won't even bet this tournament until Saturday morning because of the draw. Again, the weather looks somewhat benign. You know, maybe we get closer to Thursday, have a better feel on that, you know, and kind of leaning guys once the tee times come out. I haven't looked at the full tee sheet to see who has the better draw. But Morikawa was definitely the guy I will be playing to win. And another young stud. I mean, I would say, even though he's only in his second full year on tour, you know, without a majors, Ludvig Åberg he gave away the Scottish Open last week. I mean, that might have been some of his youth. I mean, you know, his 4th round scoring too is not been the best. But that's a guy that has all the talent in the world. Another Euro player. I mean, again, more golf rankings don't mean as much anymore, but he's 4th in the world. And again, if he's on with his drive, he's got, you know, iron game, short game putting. He's a guy like, even though 16 to 1, you know, it's kind of a lot of respect in the books, but I'll sprinkle some. Another guy, I don't think it's the best course fit, one of the favorites, but if he gets a win this week, might go down as the best major season in history outside of Tiger's, you know, 3 wins in 2002. But DeChambeau, I mean, his finishes in the majors this year: 6th at the Masters, 2nd at the PGA, won the US Open. You know, he's a guy that I just feel is all in. I mean, you know, he's a big game hunter. I mean, he's kind of the new Koepka.
His iron play is very underrated at this point. Like, he's really, like, he's not that Bomber and Gallagher. And,
no, and it scrambles. I mean, at the scramble.
Yeah, his short game is, yeah.
Well, and that's it. I mean, he was, you know, in the Wiregrass. I mean,
Every hole.
but his scrambling, but I mean, that bunker shot at 18 was an all-time shot. And his putting, I mean, too, he's one of the most underrated putters out there as well. So, especially if the conditions are benign. I mean, this is a course he can get, especially the back nine, some of those longer holes, 2 reachable par fives, you know, I think it'll be in the mix as well.
I might throw something on him. Yep.
Okay. All right, Chalky. How about you with the logicals?
I got a feeling we're all gonna be burning a lot of money this week. So I have four winners. 3 are logicals. My top pick is Rory McIlroy. My second pick, who I really like, is Colin Morikawa. My third pick is Ludwig Ahlberg. Swear to God. So I'll give you a little bit of a different bet on Morikawa though. So Morikawa is 16-1. As we said, he's plus money for top 10. I think that might be the best bet of the tournament if you're just looking to make money. But FanDuel has a bet where, so winner not including Ahlberg, McIlroy, Scheffler, or Xander. And Morikawa there is 11-1. So you're losing a little bit off of the 16, but you're taking the bigger dogs aside from Bryson out of the conversation. So at 11-1, I mean, it's almost saying he's going to finish top 5. I'll throw a little bit on that too. And I mean, it's hard to leave Bryson out of that group. I mean, yeah, if he wins, it's not going to be a shocker. And I mean, you know, go back to when Jason and I talked about his U.S. Open. It was one of the crazier rounds I ever saw with the way, you know, he was not hitting the fairway and still managed to win. And he's had one of the best seasons we've seen. It'll be interesting to see if, you know, if it's him and Rory again, if the crowd flips because he was like Captain America in the U.S. Open and everybody was against Rory. If the script flips, we'll see how that maybe handles that. If the crowds are on Rory to win as opposed and against him as payback, we'll see. But of the 4 bets I have, those are the 3 logicals, and they've already been talked about. So there's no way any of those guys probably win.
Yeah, and I'm
Roughly right.
I'm with you guys. I don't think anybody said is out of the question. You know, Rory, Chalky, you just said Morikawa top 10 was plus money, which is a great bet. I mean, Rory's even money for top 10, which I thought is actually crazy.
Well, with that point, Rory is 21 top 10s in majors since 2010.
Yeah, I mean, he's even money, so maybe you don't want to bet even money, but
most for any player in a 10-year span without a win.
But take a Jason, throw in Verstappen, whatever. All your crazy ones you always do, where you parlay it with something else. I mean, you're getting even money. That's pretty good. So I think that's actually something to take a look at, opposed to winning like kind of with Chalky. And I wasn't against Morikawa, but I didn't have him as a guy that I think wins. But I mean, crazy there. But Ahlberg, I did. I had Ahlberg and Rory as my top 2 guys to win. I actually think Xander is going to be right there again too. I mean, I think he's a top 5 guy. It's similar. It's another course where like bogey avoidance is going to be big. You know, you need irons, like you guys say. You need to scramble. Xander's number 1 in scramble, so I mean, I think you're gonna see him shine there. He's a guy. He's 2 in bogey avoidance. So I just don't see a non-logical guy. Although we said value, I think it's one of these guys, or it's like a guy not on the sheet. You know what I mean? I don't think
by 6 shots. The way he said Scotty, which
you always have that. But I mean, you go up and down. Like, I don't think it's going to be a guy that you might even see coming if one of these logical guys.
Yeah.
Scheffler might. I was going to say Scheffler might be a good guy to bet. Like if
not leading after
Thursday,
the first, yeah.
And you can get like 8-1 on him or something.
Yeah.
Then you.
What's crazy is some historical symmetry. So the last 2 players to win 6 times in a season.
Arnie
in 62.
and he
6 wins, including the Masters. He won at Troon. Scheffler, 6 wins, won the Masters this year at Troon.
I wouldn't be surprised if he won.
No, and he took off the Scott. I mean, he purposely didn't play in the Scottish Open to kind of prepare more for. and he won what the last time he played, right? So he's coming off a win, a poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the Travelers, was it right?
Yeah. So he's coming off.
Coming on the radar, I feel like, even though he's the best shortest odds.
Yeah, I think with the Open, you get like, you always hear link style, and you look for, Europeans are going to be the ones you want to look. I think in general, the U.S. guys kind of get overlooked a little bit in favor of like those link style golfers. So yeah, man, I mean, the problem is like Vegas didn't think that, and he's still 4.5 to 1. So it's not like you could say like, I'm getting value on him because they this. He's the same as he was for the U.S. Open. I mean, he was 4+4 for the U.S. Open as well. So,
Not that it means a lot 'cause we're talking 100 years of history, but 6 of the 9 winners at Troon are American.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, I said the last time there was an American sweep in the majors, you got to go back to 1982.
wow.
Watson won twice and Stadler Floyd. So, I mean, not that was much for this, but
Wow.
No, I think it's, I don't have the stats. I would like to see the Open. I mean, Chalk, you probably pulled out which like Americans versus the European type of deal in the Open tournament. I just think they get played under the radar just because of the anecdote of like, you're looking for link style.
I mean, completely on feeling, it feels like that the Americans haven't been as successful in recent years, certainly. But, I mean, I think the 70s and 80s, Arnie, Jack, Watson, they won a lot of those. So that might be loading it up, Tiger. But
Speak, Morikawa, Harmon.
yeah, before like, guys like Seve and all those came on in the 70s and 80s. But, yeah, I don't think they get the respect that they used to get.
Let's keep it moving here. So, Jason, did you have you usually throw in some long shot plays, maybe top 5, top 10s? Where you at?
So what I usually do is like everybody I bet to win, and I've learned this before. Like I'm also going to bet them to lead after the first round because that really annoys me when, one of my win bets is winning after the first round and then doesn't win and I win nothing. So I'm going to bet all those guys to lead after the first round. I'm going to also bet the following guys to lead after the first round and also top 20. And the first guy on my list is the guy Tommy mentioned before when I said about burning money, and that's Finau. I think Finau plays well in these links courses. He's a good iron player. Probably don't have to worry much about, as much about putting. So he always plays well. He's a good top 20 bet. I think I got him at, I got plus 225 on him at top 20 at Bet Rivers. And also, again, to lead after the first round, I think I got like 60-1 on him. So, him, Corey Connors, another good iron player, ball striker. I think he's going to play well in this tournament. He's a guy that almost always plays well and never wins. So he's another guy. I got him at like plus 275, I want to say, for top 20. And again, all these guys I bet to lead after the first round, along with my win bets. Russell Henley, who I think we're going to hear about later in this show. He's a top 20 guy, I bet. I got him at like plus 400 for top 20. And then Aaron Rai, who I think you're also going to hear about later in the show. Been playing really well lately. His odds are really low in this tournament. So, I don't know. I mean, I think he's gaining a lot of respect. I only got him at plus 200 to be top 20. But, I don't think he's live to win, but he's going to hang around. And then my last one is Tom Kim. He's another guy who played well. He played very well last year in the Open. Good iron player, young, up and coming. He's not ready to win yet, I don't think, but he could hang around. I got him at plus 175 for top 20, and then also I bet him to lead after the first round, but
he was the guy in the Travelers, right, with Scheffler too. Wasn't he the did the playoff with Scheffler? Is that Kim?
Was that Kim? I don't remember.
I think so.
Kim finished. He was T2 last year at the Open. Or no, solo set last year at the Open.
But I think he was the one that was in the playoff with.
No, I think he was tied with Day, wasn't he? Didn't Day finish co-second last year?
Or T2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was T2.
I don't remember who Scheffler bypassed in the Travelers. I don't.
I thought
Yes,
Kim,
it was
right?
Top
Kim.
Kim.
Yeah. They went to the playoffs. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's playing.
He's going to win. I put a future on him to win the Masters at 80-1 next year. So
Like it.
Yeah, how about you, Kev? Where you out with some long shot?
I mean, long shots. What's interesting about the Open is historically it's used more towards older, more veteran players. If you look, over the last 15 years, average age of winners in majors: U.S. Open 28, 0 40-year-old winners. PGA Championship 29.6, 1 40-year-old winner. Masters 31.1, 1 40-year-old winner. And the Open average age winner 33.5 with 4 40-year-old winners.
That's interesting.
So I have 2 40-year-olds. One is, both in good form. One is in on the PGA Tour. But my first long shot to win 70-1, sprinkle a little, but also probably a top 20, maybe a top 10. Should have won the Scottish Open last year. Adam Scott, been in great form, one of the best swings of all time. And I think he's somebody that's poised, good form as of late, kind of fits the mold, former major winner. Has a lot of experience on the links into the Open. So I do like Adam Scott. And another one, Tom, we were talking about earlier, who for some reason, inside information, Vegas likes, the Sharps like, but his odds have been creeping up kind of out of nowhere, maybe because he's on the Live Tour. We haven't seen him in majors. I don't even think he played in the U.S. Open because he chose not to, but Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the one that caught my eye too, for just his odds, like comparative to everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I know you said he was at 40-1. I saw him at 75-1. You get him to win.
Yeah,
But even-
I think he was 60 when I wrote it down.
Okay.
I think I had him at 60-1 when I wrote it down, but
He's seen somebody too I've seen on different boards and picks is kind of a long shot.
So he
75
is
on
number
FanDuel right
one.
now.
Wait, say it, talking?
75 on FanDuel right now.
Maybe there was a brief stint where but he is the number one scramble player on Live. So
Yeah, if you look at his results, I haven't watched any with golf, but he has 2 wins, one in Adelaide or the South African Dunhill Championship and Adelaide, which in Australia, link style course. I think he won as well on Live. So he's another guy, also 40-year-old plus that I like. And I think 2 other guys, 2 former Open Championship winners. I don't think the win, but top 10, top 20. That's defending champ Brian the Hammer Harmon. You can get him plus 180 as a P20. And the links master himself, Jordan Spieth, 2 plus 220 for a top 20 finish. I know the wrist has been an issue all year, but if he can find his way around the greens, nobody's better. It's to get 220 as a top 20. I like that.
All right, Chalky, you said you had 4 winners. You only said 3, I believe, which leads me to believe your other is a long shot. But where are you at?
That would be correct. So the one long shot I have at 50-1 is the guy that finished second on one leg last year, Thomas J. Kim, 50-1. I think he's more likely, as Jason said, he might not be ready to win yet. So if you want to play him at 4-1 to finish top 10, I like that as well. But that's it for win. And if you want, Jason mentioned a couple of top 20s. You want some longer top 20 plays, Laurie Cantor at plus 800 and Emiliano Grillo at plus 850 to finish top 20.
Yeah, I nothing crazy. I like the Nurin and Henley as kind of longer plays, and we've talked about that off air, and we'll talk about it with the make the cut. How about for you guys? A lot of times before we go into our make the cut, we like to talk about some of the big names. So, Jason, you mentioned Rahm, but Chalky and And Kev, you didn't really say anything about Rom. I mean, what do you guys think on that?
I mean, he's had obviously a somewhat disastrous major season. Made the cut but finished 40 something defending in the Masters. Didn't make the cut at PGA and withdrew ahead of time on the US. I was reading he's actually like 2 on the Live Tour in ranking, so he's doing all right there, I guess. So to say at 25-1, especially like Jason was saying, you might not get if he can get good again, you might not get a better price down the road if you want to take a shot with that. I'm kind of off him this year because like Kev said, I'm not watching Live, so I'm not going to try to analyze that. When he's come up to the big days this year, he just hasn't performed, so I'm passing on him this time around.
Kevin.
Yeah. It's the eye test does not pass. It's almost, I mean, the foot injury, the fact that he bowed out of the U.S. Open ahead, I almost just think he's hard fought in it. I still think, I mean, he's one of the most passionate defenders of the PGA Tour before he, excommunicated over to Live. And I think part of it, he's kind of embarrassed. He doesn't feel comfortable around these guys. He's a creature of habit in a lot of ways. He lives in the U.S. and he's kind of been banished. And I think it's, I mean, he's an emotional player, more than most. And I think his emotions have taken over him, and it's going to take some time for him to settle in to the new role. So I'm not touching him with the 20-foot pole this year. I mean, this 3-4 year.
Yeah, Koepka was another one that briefly touched on, another big name. Anybody have opinion on that? I
mean, if there's a, go ahead, Ken.
I was saying it wouldn't surprise me if he did win, but he came up small in the U.S. Open and doesn't have great history at the Open. I just don't think it's a good course setup, or again, has shown much, this year. But I mean, it's Koepka's 5-time major winner. It wouldn't surprise me. He's in the mix.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was just looking for if there's like a Koepka Rahm head-to-head out there. I mean, at 35-1, if I had to bet 1-2, I'd bet Koepka as opposed to Rahm. No, it wouldn't surprise me. I just don't think it's the right course for him, like Kev said. But I at 35-1, I would bet him before I bet Rahm at 25-1.
I saw one of the odds makers was thinking about making him like 60-1 in this tournament. I just don't think Link's golf is Koepka. Like, I think his game is U.S. Open, PGA Championship. Like, those are the courses that he excels on. I don't see it like you guys are against Rahm. I'm against Koepka in this like that. So I mean, but again, he's won 5 majors. So
yeah, that might be the exact. I gotta see if I can find that, since we agree on just about everything else. Might be a Rahm Koepka exacta somewhere.
And then to finish it off, I mean, you always like to mention Tiger's name. I mean, he started well in the Open, but then he kind of just fizzled out. Didn't make the cut. Any life left to Tiger in the link stop? I mean, Kevin said over 40 does well here.
I don't think he'll ever win again.
Over 40 that hasn't been in major car accidents or taken. I don't want to get sued, but the way he kept his body in shape over the years.
This tournament, I mean, it'd be
no.
I mean, St. Andrews where is the best road, of course, for him to win at. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you saw kind of a back and forth between him and Monty, Colin Montgomery, kind of calling him out that he should retire, and Tiger snapping back. I mean, it was good to see a little fire. Maybe that'll give him a little motivation to make the cut. But my man, he's half bionic, and he's, in my opinion, the greatest golfer of all time. But I still think, I mean, Augusta's his best chance to win anything, and yeah.
I mean, Jason, talk about Vegas. Okay, so Tiger's the one usually gets a lot of the money on some of these because people still love him. FanDuel, he's plus 230 to make the cut, minus 350 to miss the cut. I mean, I think that says it there, because they're going to have a liability on him to make the cut at odds like that. So if they're willing to risk that much, I think that says a lot about his chances.
Yeah, that's true. Like, nobody's going to bet him to miss the cut. Everybody's going to bet him to make the cut. So
Maybe that should be the parlay sprinkler to juice it up.
All right, let's talk as we're talking about make the cut. So we are on to our make the cut bet. So remind me, we gave it out how many times this year?
Oh, we gave it out 4 times so far. Travelers. I'm sorry, players, not travelers. Players, yeah, players, and then
three
major.
And we're 2 and 2. Is that right?
We are 2 and 2.
Yes.
2 and 2, but a profit.
Win.
Play.
So we profited. Yeah, we profited. I think we hit it like, was it 4 or 5 to 1 last tournament? I forget, but we profited about whatever it was. Like we put $100 bet in, so like I think we profited like 5 to 1, or maybe 450 to 1, something like that. So or 4.5 to 1. So we're gonna swing our winnings into this tournament.
Yeah. So a little background. Last for the Open, we gave out our 4 guys, and Jason said, "Why don't we throw Scotty Scheffler?"
Blaming me? You're gonna blame me?
The juice out. With the juice the odds by whatever it was. I forget what it was. And we were sitting pretty with all our guys except Scotty Scheffler. And it got real dicey there at the end, and he hit the cut line exactly right. So
On the number.
it would have
Did make
been our
He did. So I was right.
It would have been our luck to lose because Scheffler was the one that.
If you weren't watching all along and just woke up the next day and saw he made the cut, you would have just said, "Oh, dude, right."
That's funny.
So yeah, this time around we're gonna take our winnings and try it again, but we will only give up the 4 guys, not add in a Scheffler or anything. So we were kind of back and forth before the show. It depends on the site, like the odds. But Jason, did you want to go around and give your guy on your make the cut?
Yeah, I'm going with Aaron Rai. I think he's been on fire lately. I think his odds are really, really low in this tournament. He's another great ball striker. I like him. I just hope we get decent odds on him. FanDuel, he's had worse odds than he had on DraftKings, so hopefully that gap closes in the next day.
Yeah, we said before the show, it's almost like Vegas is catching on to this make the cut. Maybe they're listening to the Broad Street Hustle podcast, but the odds are starting to not be in favor, and you're not even getting a full field of guys to make the cut.
No.
They're limiting to who they put out there. Kev?
Yeah, I'm going with a guy that has made actually 22 out of 24 cuts since the last Open. One of the young stud that was actually in the mix, finished one back at Cam Smith when he young, but my pick is Cam Young, minus 196.
Yeah, that's surprising. He's 196. Thought he'd be.
He finished. Was it last year? He finished second, or the year before? He finished second.
It was last. It was last. No, he was T8 last Open. It was 2 years ago when Cam Smith won.
Yeah, I'm on record.
He's got back top 10s in the Open. I mean, he might actually be another thing of it to sprinkle a little top 10.
I'm on record as saying that minus 196 scares me a little bit.
It is a little shady.
It scares me a little bit. It's a bait bet.
Well, Chalky, I don't know if you have it up, but is he that on DraftKings? I could look also.
Cam Young. Let's see. I don't have it. I can pull it up in a second.
I'll work.
All right, while you're pulling that up, I'll give mine. So, I actually like Norton as my play. He was minus 230, but depending
you
on
can't
the
give
site,
out 2. We don't want to hear 2. We want to hear one golfer.
It depends on if he's available when the play goes in.
Okay.
So Norton is my pick, but he's possibly not going to be on the site that you use. If that's the case, it's going to be Henley. Just as a disclaimer. But Norton is my first.
It's disclaimers.
Norton is my first pick, but I mean, if he's not on the site, he's not on the site.
Yeah.
I have the Cam Young answer on DraftKings. He's more reasonable on DraftKings. He's minus 270 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot.
How you for that?
But better on FanDuel for our
Yeah.
bet.
196 is crazy. Hopefully it doesn't go up tomorrow. So yeah, Norton is my pick, but there's a strong chance because on FanDuel he's not listed. It'll be Henley. So we'll know for sure tomorrow. And then Chalky, finish it off.
Yeah, there's some pretty wide swings because like Cam Smith is minus 340 on DraftKings. He's minus 235 on FanDuel. So mine guy is going to be Akshay Bhatia. I'm not sorry. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Bhatia. Currently minus 210 on FanDuel.
Yeah. So when we plug, what were we looking at when we plugged that in?
4-1.
I think it was not minus, but plus 325. But then we are hoping to get a profit boost of 25%, which would make it like 385.
Yeah, so it's right now on FanDuel it's plus 308 before a boost.
Okay.
With the guys we just mentioned.
And then we'll get a boost, and it'll be close to 4-1.
Yeah, and those odds could swing tomorrow too, and we get it juiced up hopefully. So.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, there's the lowest guy was 185. Chalky. Minus 180.
196. Cam Young.
No, not our guys. I mean,
he means listed.
Oh, yeah. So on FanDuel, 185 was the lowest.
Great.
I'm sorry. DraftKings. So FanDuel has a couple other guys, but they're the bigger names: Tiger, Phil, Patty Harrington.
But like like a real person.
They do go a little deeper. So like Jordan Smith, Ricky Fowler, Ryan Fox, Justin Rose, Matthew Southgate are all around even money. That's lower than you'll see on DraftKings. Zalatoris is minus 132.
Keep an eye on that Ryan Fox. I think he's a pretty good iron player. I might throw him into a make the cut, my own make the cut bet.
And the lowest on DraftKings, Byung on and Dustin Johnson are minus 185.
Wait, Dustin Johnson's playing this week?
That might be a bad bet, but he's listed.
and
said FanDuel has Dustin Johnson at minus 122. So
he won't be playing by Saturday. He came for the free trip. He's gonna play Thursday, Friday, and
No, that beats.
Yeah, this way on Saturday, else is already beat.
My
All right. Well,
it'll be snowing at some point during this trip.
episode 116 of Broadsheet Hustle. Some programming notes. I believe we will start to sprinkle in Saratoga now as the show's gone, as we don't really have any big shows. Football opens up on Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. I think his camps are going to start to open, so we'll, more to come there.
I was also going to say we'll probably have our last place trivia contest winner back on the show.
Yes,
next week.
I did mean to in the introductions. I did mean to say, unfortunately, we don't have our last place trivia contestant Christopher Michael Meeker on, but our last place contestant Christopher Michael Meeker will be back probably next week, and then the last place Christopher Michael Meeker will probably be back the week after that, but we shall see. But thanks for listening. Episode 116, The Open, Broadsheet Hustle. I'm Brandon.